So earlier today we covered, and I covered it on the podcast as well as the Twitch stream, and it's probably worthwhile saying again, the Department of Justice labeling New York, Seattle, and Portland as anarchist jurisdictions. The irony of this is that the way they define anarchy, none of those cities remotely reflect any level of anarchy, any interpretation of anarchy. The academic definition of anarchy, the politicized definition of anarchy, none of these cities remotely reflect it. But what they are they are democratically run cities. And they are cities where protests have not been brutally suppressed except by, New York cracked down hard as bricks on protests. Portland, you had federal agents crack down on protests. And I think you had the Portland PD out there cracking down. This is the absurdity of it. The absurdity of it is never enough for the fascist in chief, Donald Trump. Video after video. I don't think I've made a mistake that big and long, because I had to just really put myself back in the mindset of this summer. Video after video, the police cracked down so brutally on people. They were out there in Seattle. I remember something from Seattle. There's a clip of a soccer mom, a wine mom, in her pink bike helmet being tackled, white woman, being tackled by like 7 police officers. I can't wait for fall and winter to really get here to get rid of these flies. Forgive me for the tangent. So Seattle, you had a brutal crackdown. Portland, we saw a brutal crackdown. New York was nonstop brutal. They were beating bicycle messengers, delivering messages and delivering food. They were just out there randomly hitting. It was a police riot all summer long. And so by the very definition, the erroneous definition that Donald Trump uses in terms of law and order and anarchy, it wasn't enough for the police to brutally crack down on protesters. He's still trying to punish the cities because the protests happened in the first place. If you can't, let me start that sentence over. We have to be able to reasonably see the type of threat that Donald Trump is, in that the brutal crackdown that we saw over the summer, where the police in, was it Buffalo, New York? They pushed a 75-year-old man to the concrete so hard that you could hear his head crack, reverberate through the square, through the plaza. But that wasn't good enough for Donald Trump. So now he's labeled these cities as anarchist jurisdictions so that he can strip funding away from those cities as a way of punishing those cities. 1, because they're democratically led cities. 2, because protests have been happening on a regular basis despite the police brutality. And 3, because it gives him political capital. He knows that he can get a political advantage doing these things. We're dealing with some really tumultuous times. We're dealing with a fascist, and I don't care if he is your precise definition of fascism. Kiss my butt with that. I know we're streaming to a whole lot of places, so I'm gonna watch my mouth. Hang on a second. I'm so bugged out by that, because it has been so busy. It's been so ridiculously wild in terms of politics, the presidential election, everything. I really had, for a split second there, forgot about how brutal the police cracked down, specifically in New York, specifically in Portland, and specifically in Seattle. And those are the cities that Donald Trump targeted to defund them, because those cities are anarchist jurisdictions. The biggest threat, the people who will be targeted the most by Donald Trump won't be, and no offense to quote unquote liberals or neoliberals or centrists, I'm not here on the stream, not today, to argue neoliberalism, centrism. But I am going to say something. I don't think, unless you consider yourself a centrist and you're out there protesting, the people who are really going to be targeted the most by this administration are those of us who really do hold radical economic ideas, radical, quote unquote, because they're not radical by international standards at all. Those of us who hold, quote unquote, radical political ideas about how we should organize our government. Socialists, definitely communists. Donald Trump has found political capital in targeting us, even to the point of killing us. And we're going to be the ones who are going to be penalized and brutalized the most, especially those who have the unmitigated gall from Donald Trump's perspective to go out into the streets and protest. Those of us who sit comfortably at home. I mean, I might get targeted because I got a big enough audience and I say shit on Twitter that gets as many likes and retweets as Donald Trump. Sometimes, not all the time. Every now and then, I'll say something. Hell, I should bring up some of my wildest stuff. So I'll be targeted, even though I'm at home comfortably. They got my IP address. They know where I am. I'm sure I'll be targeted, in charge with in a RICO case. But most certainly the people who are literally out there protesting, which generally have been like in the long haul over the summer, there've been like a lot of leftist socialists. He's going to crack down so hard on us. And I say that not to make us afraid, but I say that because I want us to know that we gotta get rid of Donald Trump at all costs. We can't take it as a statement of virtue to say, I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. You can't make me afraid of Donald Trump. And because I'm not afraid of Donald Trump, I'm not going to fight Donald Trump. I think that's a tremendous folly, a grave error. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump, which is why I will fight him head on. I am afraid for my friends and my comrades who are out in the streets, who have taken the risk of COVID-19 and say, it's worth it for me to be in the streets protesting. I'm afraid for you all because Donald Trump has found political capital in targeting you specifically and us generally. Full transparency, I was definitely not a Biden supporter in the primaries. I am a Bernie bruh. I have been supporting Bernie Sanders for quite some time. Very upset that he lost the primaries, but I understand what time it is. We've got to get rid of Donald Trump. To that end, I've never said a positive thing on my show about Joe Biden. I just don't talk about Joe Biden. I've just gone after Donald Trump because, well, that's the right thing to do. There's plenty of reason for me to cover Donald Trump all the time. Matter of fact, I haven't played a single positive clip. I haven't even played a clip of Joe Biden on my show. This said he's talking about COVID-19 and we don't have time for games or my moral quandary. Time out for that. Let's take a listen to Joe Biden talking about COVID-19.
Able to visit their elderly parent.
Hang on. Rotate my screen and let's listen to Joe.
Unfortunately, America is going to have to speak to this quickly. Going to reach a tragic milestone. 200,000 deaths recorded as of today because of the coronavirus. 200,000 deaths all across this nation. And it means there are empty chairs and dining room tables and kitchen tables that weeks and months ago were filled with a loved one, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister. And in many cases, the pain was made a lot worse because, and I've had people tell me this, and close friends of the family tell me, because they were unable to visit their elderly parent or grandparent in a nursing home just before they passed away. Don't know how many stories I've heard about from the nurses saying they held up a cell phone to the patient on a ventilator in the bed about to pass, Mr. Mayor, and that's all they could speak to. And so, in fact, that people weren't able to hold funeral services where family and friends could pray together, remember the loved ones they lost, and place them in the hands of God. And so many of the rituals we have come to help us cope with pain and loss, to help us honor the lives of those we've loved, to help us come to closure, just aren't available in the middle of this pandemic. What worries me now is we've been living with this pandemic for so long, I worry we're risking becoming numb to the toll that is taken on us and our country and communities like this. We can't let that happen. We can't lose the ability to feel the sorrow and the loss and the anger for so many lives lost. We can't let the numbers become statistics, a background noise, just a blur that we see on the nightly news. 200 moms, dads, sons, daughters, grandparents, uncles, aunts, friends, co-workers.
One of the things that I feel like I have gotten so caught up in the presidential election that I have failed to do on a regular, consistent basis is to literally sound the alarm, consistently sound the alarm about COVID-19, particularly how numb we've gotten to it. The fact that we lose 1,000 people a day. We lose 1,000 people a day and we continue as if that's normal. We did the quick math last night. It's about 98 people who die a day in a fatal car crash. That has become normalized. 1,000 people are dying a day. Sometimes it does drop to like 300, but then sometimes it jumps up to 1,500 a day. And on average, it's somewhere between 750 and 1,000 people that we lose a day to COVID-19. And because of how ridiculous this particular timeline that we're living in has become, I've gotten used to the fact that we don't leave our house. And that became normalized, when at first it was like the reason I'm not leaving my house is not normal. But now it is. Our ability as human beings, this is what I mean, our ability as human beings to suffer is something that is constantly manipulated by everybody in power, by the powerful. And because they need us to keep making them money, they've done everything they could to help normalize 1,000 people dying a day from COVID-19. They politicize wearing masks, Trump administration specifically. They have normalized the idea of sending our teachers and kids and family members back into these petri dishes called public schools in general. They've insisted the thing that we need to do is open America back up. And y'all, 200,000 people are dead. How many people have to die before we say enough? How many people have to die before we literally say Thank you. I just read it. They've cut off the additional unemployment benefits, and unemployment only lasts in some states. When I was living in Georgia, it only lasted 3 months. So you get 3 months of unemployment. Well, hell, most people lost their jobs at the very beginning of this pandemic. So their unemployment has run out. We have food pantries and bread lines backed up for miles on the highway. And this has become our new normal. And the way it's become our new normal is because people are able to have a modicum of normalcy, whatever your normalcy is. You either accepted a new normal or you demanded to maintain your old normal. Either way it goes, we've all become desensitized. I have accepted a new normal where I don't leave my house but maybe once a week. Other people have fought viciously to maintain their old normal, in that they take the risk and continue to go to bars, continue to go to clubs, continue to go to, wherever. Some people have been forced into not even being able to be safe, being forced into their old normal because they are the frontline workers. They are the essential workers, grocery store workers. They didn't even have the luxury of protecting themselves. And some of them are dying for minimum wage jobs. And the real question is when the hell will enough be enough? How many people actually have to die before we collectively throw these tables over and collectively say that this government has abdicated its responsibility to protect us, and has, in fact, instead not only abdicated their responsibility, but actively engaged in behaviors that led to our demise to the tune of 200,000 people? Will it be 300,000? Would that be enough? Will it be 400,000? Would that be enough? 500,000? I don't know. I don't know what number to be enough.